Hello everyone and welcome to this video presentation. In this presentation we will create a small project that has 2 servers and 3 client computers. So in this presentation we have 3 networks. So we have the main server, which is the VAC-DC1, which is the main domain controller, has 3 network adapters. One connected to the switch which is on LAN 1, the second one connected to the switch which is on LAN 2, and the third one is connected to the switch which is on LAN 3. And we have one PC connected to each one of the 3 LANs. And we have a second domain controller that's connected to LAN 1 also. And the server name is VAC-DC2. So let's go and see how we're going to configure that. So basically I already created all the virtual machines. So I have 5 virtual machines here, VAC-DC1, DC2, and the PC 01, 02, and 03. So let me start by turning on the machines. But even before that, we can just verify a few things. If you go to the settings, we need to make sure that under the storage, on the network, that it is connected to the host-only adapter. This server has 3 network adapters, one on each network. So one is connected to LAN 1, one is connected to the LAN 2, and the third one is connected to LAN 3. So that's why I need to enable the first 3 adapters here by clicking on the Enable Network Adapter checkbox here. So I have 3 networks here. If I click on the tools here and under the 3 lines here, if I click on network, I will see that I have 3 VirtualBox host only Ethernet adapters, and they are named as follow: Ethernet adapter, Ethernet number 2, and Ethernet adapter number 3. If I have less than 3, I need to create other Ethernet adapters, so to have the different switches that are on this diagram. So I have 3 switches here which are represented by the 3 VirtualBox only Ethernet adapters. So then when I go to the setting of each machine, so VAC-DC1 has 3 network adapters, as we can see here. It has this one, and this one. This one is connected to LAN 1, so which I will be connecting here to host only Ethernet adapter. So if I go to network here, I will have to click on host only Ethernet adapter for the attached to, and in the name, if I click on the drop down, I have the 3 equivalent to the switches that we have here, the 3 VirtualBox host only Ethernet adapters. So the first one is equivalent to the switch which is on LAN 1. The number 2 is equivalent to the switch which is on LAN number 2, and the third one is equivalent to the switch which is on LAN number 3. So my first adapter, which is this one here, I will plug it to this VirtualBox host only Ethernet adapter. The second adapter, I will have to plug it to the adapter number 2, which is the switch on the LAN 2. And the third one, we connect it to the switch number 3. So this way I am plugging my 3 network cables to the 3 different switches that are on my VirtualBox. So this is the first thing. I can do the same thing for each one of the machines before even I continue. So I know that VAC-DC2 is connected to the switch which is on LAN 1. So I can go to the VAC-DC2, go to the settings. Under the network, I made sure that it is connected to the host-only adapter of number 1, which is LAN 1. Okay. So if I do the same thing for PC1, PC1 also is connected to the switch on LAN 1. So if I go to PC1, I go to settings, and under network, I will attach it to host-only adapter. And in the list here, I will select the VirtualBox host-only Ethernet adapter, which is number 1. If I go to PC2, so PC2 is connected to the switch on LAN number 2. So I need to click on settings, and under network, I will click on host-only adapter, and I will select the adapter number 2, which is LAN number 2. and for sure for the third one I will connect it to the LAN number 3. So I will click on settings, click on network, and here I will attach it to host only adapter, and I will select Ethernet adapter number 3. So this way, physically, I connected all my machines to the right switches, so I don't have to change anything else in the network in VirtualBox. Now I will start my virtual machines. So I will start my VAC-DC1. As you know, for Windows 7 and Windows 8, during the installation of the operating system, it asks you for a username and for the computer name. For Windows 10, it does not ask you for a computer name, it only asks you for a username. Okay, so here for Windows 7, 8, and 10, okay, for 7 and 8 we already created the computer name and we set up the computer name during the installation of Windows 7 and 8.1. So let's start the VAC DC1 and see the post installation steps. So as we know, after we install an operating system, any operating system, first thing that we need to do is to change the computer name, change the network IP address or put it DHCP, or if it's a static IP address we have to set the static IP address, change the date and time zone. Okay, and if you can install VirtualBox host, VirtualBox guest edition, it is even better if later on we need to transfer files from or to the host computer. So it is finalizing the installation of DC1. Okay, so here I can change that to Canada. English, Canada, US, we click on next. I accept, and now this is the administrator account. I will put the password 01, password twice. So it is restarting my VAC DC1. So now we log back in with the password 01. So what is the first thing to do? We change the computer name. First thing to do. So let's wait for the server manager to open. So we go to local server and we change our computer name. So I will click on that, click on change and put VAC-DC1, which is the computer name that we have for this server. I will click OK. It will ask me to restart. I will not restart right away. So I click OK, close, but I will restart later. Now I need to verify here the date and time. Okay, it is already set to Ethernet, to Eastern Time, US and Canada. That's correct. Now for my Ethernet adapters, I have my first, second and third Ethernet adapters. What I can do here, if I go to Network and Sharing Center by right-clicking on the network icon on the system tray, I will open Network and Sharing Center. I have my 3 adapters. Just to validate which adapter is which one, because they might not be always the one without a number corresponding to LAN 1, the one with number 2 corresponding to LAN 2, and the one with number 3 corresponding to LAN 3. It could be different numbers. So the way to arrange that, I will click on change adapter setting here. So I will see them again. Now I need to validate the MAC address of each one of them. So if I go here under VirtualBox on top, under devices, network settings, then I am on the adapter 1. If I click on advanced, I will see my MAC address. So the MAC address of this network card ends with 1159. So I will take note of that and I will check which one of those ends with 1159. So I will right click click on status, click on details, and I see that this one is the right one, which ends with 1159. So just to ease things for me, I will just rename that, call it LAN 1. So this way I know that this is connected to the LAN 1. I will check the same thing for the other adapters. So I will go to adapter number 2, verify under advanced the MAC address, which ends with 8DEC. So I will check this one. That's not the one. Okay, so that's not the LAN number 2. So LAN number 2 is probably this one here, which is Ethernet 3. I will right click, status, details, 8DEC. So this is my LAN 2 adapter. Even though it's named number 3 here, that's why it's very important to validate the MAC address. So I will right click, click on status, right click, click on rename, and rename that LAN 2. So for sure this will be LAN 3. If I want to double check, I can just go devices, network settings, click on the adapter number 3, validate the MAC address, which is F199, and validate here if it's F199. It is. So this is LAN number 3. So I will rename it to LAN number 3. So don't rely on Ethernet 2 and Ethernet 3 that they are corresponding to LAN 1, LAN 2, LAN 3. Okay. So once I did that, I need to set up my IP addresses. So either doing it from here or opening the network and sharing center, going to open network and sharing center here and change the IP address of each one of those. So let me click on LAN 1 to start with, go to properties, and here under Internet Protocol version 4, I will have to set up my IP address. So how to set up the IP address here, how to find the IP address from this diagram here. I know that LAN 1, which is the network that is on this side here. Let me just open another here to see better. So here we have 3 networks. So if we check the first network, which is this portion here, okay, this is LAN 1. This also is LAN 1. So the LAN 1 IP address should be in that range here. 192.168.200.10, because here I mentioned that it is .10. So the IP address of this adapter on the server is 192.168.200.10. What is the subnet mask? It is a /24, which means that the subnet mask is 255.255.255.0. So if I go back to my machine here, so let me write the IP address here. So it's 192.168.200, and the last octet is .10, which is the IP address that I see here. So this one is .10. The subnet mask is /24, which means 255.255.255.0. I don't have a default gateway in that case, and I don't need to put a DNS right away. DNS will be set automatically when we convert this server or promote this server to be a domain controller. So I will click OK, OK, OK. So I set up the IP address of LAN 1. What about LAN 2? LAN 2 is this portion of the network. And it is this LAN 2 here, which says that the IP address of this network is 192.168.10.0/24. So it means that the IP address here of this interface is 192.168.10, and the last octet is .10 that I can see here. So that I will set on LAN 2 here. So I will put 192.168.10.10, and again it's a /24, meaning that the subnet mask is 255.255.255.0. I click OK, OK, and close, and now I have my third one here. So my third one is this network here, and this network is on LAN 3, and this is the IP address of my LAN 3, which is 192.168.30.0. This is the network, so the last octet is the .10 that I have to set on my LAN 3 here. So this will be 192.168.30, and the last octet is the .10, which is mentioned here, which is this one here. Oops. Which is .10 that I have to write here. It's a /24, meaning that the subnet mask is 255.255.255.0. So I click OK, 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 and now my network settings are set properly here, even though I don't see them yet. If I click on the refresh, they should reflect the right IP addresses here. So these are the 3 IP addresses of my 3 adapters. So now, since I was supposed to restart my computer when I renamed it, and I did not do that then, so I will do it right away. Even though even before doing that, I will insert the guest addition, because this one also requires a restart. So it inserted the DVD of guest additions on my DVD-ROM here. So I'll just double click, run the setup, so I will restart once instead of restart twice. So the first thing was setting the computer name that required a restart, and installing VirtualBox Guest Edition also requires a restart. So it's asking me to reboot. I will click on finish and it will reboot. So now that the server restarted, let's log in. So now the server manager will open. Okay, so now if I click on local server, I should see the right computer name and the right IP addresses and my date and time and the time zone. So now next step that we need to do for this lab here is we have 2 roles that we need to add for that server, VAC-DC1. Under the roles column here, for VAC-DC1, we need to add Active Directory Domain Services role and the DHCP role. So we can do one at a time, or we can install both of them once and then we can configure one after the other. So to do that, if I go to the dashboard, I can click on Add Roles and Features here, or I click on Manage and click on Add Roles and Features there. So before you begin will be the first screen. I will click on Next, Next. Make sure that I have my computer name properly here and my IP address. If they are not set properly, cancel out of this wizard, rename the computer, reset the IP addresses before you can continue. Otherwise, you cannot change that later on. So click on Next, and here we have to select the Active Directory Domain Services, AD DS. It needs some features. We click on Add the Features, and we need to also to add the DHCP server. So we can do that later on, or we can do it at the same time. So I will add the role at the same time, and we will add the features also for the DHCP server. We click on Next, 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 and Install. So now that it finished installation, it's telling you configuration required, installation succeeded on VAC-DC1. So here I have the option to click on promote this server to a domain controller, or I can click on the notification area here and I will have the same option to click on promote this server to a domain controller. So it's the same thing. So I'll click on that link, and now I will be prompted to promote this server to a domain controller. Here we have 3 options. The first option is add a domain controller to an existing domain. So this is in case we have already a domain and we have already at least one domain controller, and we need to add this as a second or third or fourth, whatever domain controller we choose the first option. The second option is if we want to add a new domain to an existing forest. we don't want to add a new domain to an existing forest. A new domain meaning that you have one domain called, let's say, Microsoft.com, and you want in one specific forest, and you want to add another domain called IBM.com. That's not what we want to do. And the third one is add a new forest. So that's what we want to do when we create the first domain controller in a domain that we are creating, because we are creating the domain. So we need to create a domain which is vacschool.local, which is says here under this diagram here, it says vacschool.local. So this is what we need to do here. We need to type vacschool.local. So this will be our domain name. We click on next. On this here we have to put the directory services restore mode password. Again, it's password 01 capital P. We click on next. The NetBIOS domain name is generated automatically, which is the portion on the left of the dot for the vacschool.local. We click on next. We keep the default path for the database folder, the log files, and the sysball folder. We click on next. And we click on next. Now it's going to check for the prerequisite check to verify if everything that we need to promote this server to a domain controller are okay or not. We will have several warnings in here, but the most important thing is that it's pass the prerequisite test at the end. So as we see here, we have several warnings that are related to Windows NT 4.0 and other stuff for backward compatibilities, but the important part is that all prerequisite checks pass successfully. So click install to begin installation. We click install and it will start the installation. So now the installation is finished and the server will restart by itself. So now that the server is started, we can see that the login now is not administrator, it's vacschool/administrator. So let's log in with the password 01. So everything we did up till now is just from the first page of this project document. We did not even go through any other pages. All the information that we needed are here, which is the network diagram, which is the main important part of this project. This table here that tells us for each machine, which operating system, which role has to be installed, and what is the LAN on which it is. Okay, so we set this computer with the name vac-dc1. We configure the 3 network adapters on 3 different networks here. We set up the IP addresses of the 3 adapters. Okay. We added the role of Active Directory Domain Services. We added the role of DHCP. And we promoted the server to be a domain controller with the domain vacschool.local. Okay. So the DHCP we did not configure yet. We just added the role, but we did not configure. The Active Directory Domain Services, we added the role and then we promoted the server to be a domain controller, which is this two-step procedure. So now let's configure the DHCP server. So if I go here, I click on the notification area, I will see that I need to complete the DHCP configuration. Okay, and don't do that before your server is a domain controller. So you have to first configure the server to be a domain controller, promote it to be a domain controller, and then you go do this step. So if I click on complete DHCP configuration, it will tell me that it will create 2 groups, the DHCP administrators group and the DHCP users group, and it will authorize the DHCP server to be allowed to give IP addresses to computers on the domain. So it will do all this in one step. If I click on next, it will tell me which user account you want to use to do that. Of course, I will be using the domain administrator account. So I will click on commit, and automatically it created the 2 groups and it authorized the DHCP server. So this is the first step on the DHCP configuration. Second step is to create scopes. So if I look here at my diagram, as I mentioned earlier, I have 3 different networks. Okay, so the first network, which is LAN 1, we need that the DHCP server gives IP addresses to any device that will connect to this network in the range of the LAN 1 network, which is 192.168.200.0/24. So any device that's here, like the PC-01, we need it when it plugs into the network, it gets automatically an IP address from the DHCP server, which is VAC-DC1. So the IP address that will be given to this computer here should be in the range of LAN 1, which is 192. Let me make it in red. So it's 192.168.200, which is the LAN here, dot something, which I don't know yet. Okay, so this computer should get an IP address in that range. So that's what I need to configure the DHCP scope to do. So I need to create a scope for LAN 1 to give addresses to any device that plugs into this network in that network. The default gateway will always be this address, and the DNS server will also be this address. So let's first start to create the scopes. So I will click on Tools and I will open my DHCP management console. I can maximize it here. If my screen is too small and I cannot see lots of things here, I can close this action pane here by clicking on this icon here. This will close that pane that I don't really need. I can expand my VAC-DC1.VACschool.local. I expand IPv4, and now I can right click on IPv4 and create my first scope. If I look at my diagram also, not my diagram, my document here, I have a section on that. So here it's telling me to create 3 scopes. So we are right now creating the scope for LAN 1. Okay, so I want to create the scope for LAN 1. Let me make it bigger so it will be easier to read. Okay, so here I will right click on IPv4, click on New Scope. So the wizard will open here. I will click on Next. I need to give a scope a name. Okay, here it's telling me the scope name is LAN 1, so I can call it LAN 1. So to identify it when it will appear in my list here, it's easier if I identify it. I like also to put the range or the network on which it is connected. So it is on LAN 1, which is 192.168.200.0/24. So this way I can identify it by looking at the scope name here. So if I go next, I have to give what is the range of the IP address that will be given to any device on that network. Here is telling me the range. I have from 192.168.200.100 to 192.168.200.150. So this is the start address and the end address that I have to give. So it's 192.168.200.100, and the last address is 192.168.200.150. It is /24, so I can write here 24 and it will automatically populate that. If it was /16, I would have written here /16. Okay, and it would have put me 255.255.0.0. If it's /8, I would put 8 and it will give me the right subnet mask. In our case it's /24, so I will write here 24 and it is the right subnet mask. So if I click on Next, now it's telling me, do you want to exclude any IP address from this range? So from 100 to 150, do you want to use all these addresses or not? You want to exclude some? So here in our project, it's telling us that we need to exclude the address 101, 102, and 103. So from 101 to 103, we want to exclude these addresses. So I can exclude those addresses by typing the range here from 192.168.200.101 to 192.168.200.103. I have to click on add to add it to the excluded range of addresses. So I added them. I click on next. The least duration, the default is 8 days, and this is what it's telling us here, keep it 8 days. If it's not mentioned, you don't change it, you keep the default, which is 8 days. We click on next, and now we have to configure other options, like the default gateway or the DNS, so we need to configure these options now. So I will say yes, I want to configure these options now. So I click on next, and now the first question is the router or gateway, default gateway. What is the router or the default gateway? And this is the address that I have in my lab here. So I will put 192.168.200.10. Don't forget to click on the add, and I click on next. The DNS is automatically configured here because it is configured on my network adapter here by default, because it became a domain controller, so the adapter was set properly here. So I can as a matter of fact, I want to use another DNS. I will not use this one. Let me use 192.168.200.10 and click on add. Okay, and I will click on next. I can remove this one here. Wins, we are not using wins, so we click on next. And we want to activate the scope, because when we create the scope, it is not activated by default. We need to activate it, so we click on next and finish. And now the scope is activated. So the first scope is created. I can click on here on the scope. First of all, I can see the name of the scope, so I can identify it. Okay, and if I go to address pool, this is the range of address that is assigned for distribution from 100 to 150, and the excluded addresses as required here are from 101 to 103. If I click on the address leases, this is whenever a computer will connect and we will get an IP address, I will see it in this list here. So now I will create my second scope. So again, I will right click on IPv4, click on new scope. This time I will call it LAN 2. I will go next. The address is from 192.168.10.100, which is this address here, to 192.168.10.150. It's a /24, so it is 255.255.255.0. I click on next. If I need to exclude, I need to exclude this range from 101 to 103. So I will type here in the exclusion 192.168.10.101 to 192.168.10.103. Click on add. Go next. Lease duration 8 days. Click on next. I want to configure the options, the scope options. My gateway here is 192.168.10.10. 192.168.10.10. Click on add. My DNS is 192.168.10.10. It is there, so I click on next. Wins, we don't use, next, and activate the scope and finish. So now I have my second scope. If I click here and click my third scope, so it will be my LAN 3 scope. So the addresses for LAN 3 from 192.168 is 30.100 to 30.150. So this will be 192.168.30.100 to 192.168.30 to 150 /24. Click on next. Exclude the addresses from 30.101 to 30.103. 192.168.30.101 to 192.168.30.103. Click on add. Next. Lease duration 8 days. Next. Configure scope options. The gateway is 30.10. So 192.168.30.10. Click on add. My DNS is 192.168.30.10. So this one I will remove and I will change it to 30.10. It validates that this is a valid DNS server. Click on next. No wins. and activate the scope now. So now I have my 3 scopes. Okay, I can even rename this one here. I don't need to all that, I just keep it LAN1, so all of them will be the same thing. Okay, always DHCP is one of the consoles that need refresh. So sometimes when you open something and you don't see information here, you need to click on the refresh here for it to appear. Okay, so now I have my 3 scopes configured as required here. So let's go to the next step now, which will create the second domain controller in our lab here. So we created this one. This one is completely configured right now. There is nothing else that we need to do on VAC DC1. Okay, now we go on VAC DC2, and of course I need VAC DC1 to be connected because I need to join this one to the domain and to make it another domain controller. So the other computer should be already turned on. So I will turn on my VAC DC2. While keeping this one turned on as well. Okay, so this one I will keep here, but I will just minimize it. I don't really need to do anything on it. I will just minimize it. I will put my VAC DC2 here and I will log in. So as you see, it's not on a domain, it's just administrator. I don't have any domain here. It's a brand new server that I installed. I will put my password 01. So now that the server started, first thing to do what? Remember, first thing always, change computer name, change time zone and date and time, and set up IP addresses. This one here, I have a problem. I added 3 adapters to these servers, which I should not have done. So I need only 1 adapter. So I will shut down the machine. I will remove the adapters. Okay. So I shut down the server. I removed the 2 adapters. So it has only 1 adapter now. So again, first thing that we need to do is to set the computer name, time zone and date and time, and network connectivity. So the computer name, let's change it first. So this will be VAC-DC2. It will ask me to restart. I will not restart right away. I will set my network. So this will be the IP address that I have here for this adapter here, which is on LAN 1. So it's 192.168.211. So this is 192.168.200.11. It's a /24, so it's 255.255.255.0. The gateway, I can use this gateway here, so it will be 192.168.200.10. This one, this address here. And also the DNS, I have to put the IP address of my domain controller as a DNS, otherwise I will not be able to join the domain or add the second domain controller. So 192.168.200.10. So I will click OK, close. Now my adapter is not connected here. I need to make sure that I connect it under VirtualBox here. So I will go to under network settings. I need to put it under host only adapter. And of course I am on LAN 1, so I need to plug it to the LAN 1 here. Okay. So now it is connected. Last thing I need to do here before I restart is to insert the guest addition, to install the guest addition drivers. So I will just insert the CD, double click on that, run the setup, and then restart the virtual machine. So I restarted the machine. Now, as you see here on my table, it says that VAC-DC2, it's a second domain controller. We have to add the Active Directory Domain Services role. So that's what we are going to do right now. And to do that, few things that has to be set. First of all, the IP address here should be set already. Before that, we should point to the first domain controller as a DNS. So this is the most important things to do. So here, this IP address is very important. If it's not set properly, we will not be able to do this step. We need to set up a static IP address. Of course, it is a server, so it has a static IP address and subnet mask and the DNS. These are important, very important. The computer name is very important. We set the computer name. Now we will make this is the domain controller. Before doing it, the domain controller, we need to add a role. And the role, it's Active Directory Domain Services. So I will go on Dashboard, click on Add Roles and Features, go Next, 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 and add the Active Directory Domain Services role. Of course, as you know, after we install the role, we have to promote the server to be a domain controller. So the installation is finished and the configuration is required, of course. We need to promote this server to a domain controller. So we click on Promote this server to a domain controller. And now we have to choose which option. Are we adding a domain controller to an existing domain, or add a new domain to an existing forest, or add a new forest? The first domain controller we created was add a new forest. This one, we are adding a domain controller, which is this server, to an existing domain. We have already the domain vacschool.local, which is on the vac.dc1 domain controller. So in our case, we are adding a domain controller to an existing domain. So what is the domain? I will click on select, and I have to log in to that domain with the credentials. If I log in just by administrator now, I will be logging into vac-dc2. That's not what I want. I want to log into vacschool.local. So I will have to type here vacschool \administrator. Okay, so now I will be logging to vacschool domain. If I did not put the vacschool \, it will be logging to the vac-dc2, which is not what I want. I want to log into the domain. So I'll put the password 01, and it will search for the domain on the network. It should find it, and it will appear on that list here. Sometimes it is long. Yeah, so now it found it. So I will select it, click OK. Okay, it's better to do that than just writing the name here. Otherwise, you have to change that. So right now we see that we are logged in as the vacschool \administrator. This is the domain that we want to join, and to make this computer a domain controller, we click on Next. Here again we have to type the password for the Active Directory Service Restore mode. So let's just wait for it to finish loading this page. We click on Next. So it's telling us, do you want to replicate this domain controller from any domain or from a specific domain? We can leave it any domain controller. Okay. If we had different domain controllers in different sites, we could select a domain controller in the site on which this domain controller will be. In our case, we will be using any domain controller, it doesn't matter. So we click on Next. We keep the default paths here. Click on Next, and Next. It will run the prerequisite check, and if everything is good, we'll have the green bar on top, and then we'll click on Install. So now we have some warnings, but all prerequisite checks passed successfully. Click Install to begin installation. So we click and we'll begin the installation. So it finished installing, it is successful, and it will restart on its own. So now that the server is started, we can see that we will be logging in with the VAC school domain account. So now we have two domain controllers, VAC-DC2 and VAC-DC1, and both of them are replicating from each other. So whatever we do, whenever we do change on one domain controller, it will be replicated on this second domain controller. Okay, except of course if you have a specific role like DHCP, it's only on VAC DC1. Okay, but as a domain controller, both computers are two domain controllers. So now let's go back to the lab to see. So we set up basically whatever is on this diagram here, except for the PCs. Okay, so let's test the PCs. So let's open our PC 1, 2, and 3. So let's open PC-01. First, we connected PC-01 on the Ethernet adapter 1. So it should get automatically an IP address. So okay, when I have this message here, it means that I forgot to eject my installation DVD. So let me eject it right away before I forget. Okay, let me eject it from all my machines, the DVD. If I forgot to remove it, I will remove it. So DC1, DC2, and PC02 also I can eject it. Under the storage here, I can remove it. This is my Windows 8, my Windows 10. If I still have it here, let me eject it also. It's not there. Okay. So now I have this Windows 7 machine that I created, and I used the user admin when I was setting it up. So I will log in. I will minimize my VAC-DC2 for now. I don't really need it. Here I will open my DHCP server. Here I will use always work network. So it detected a network. It detected the VAC school network automatically, and it got an IP address. If I check here, I will see which IP address this computer got. So it got the IP address 192.168.200 and 100.100, the subnet mask, the default gateway, DHCP server, DNS, so all the parameters that we set already. Okay. If I check here my scope for LAN 1, in the address leases, I don't see anything, but I click on refresh. It refreshed it, and now I see that I have my PC-01 is connected to, is got an IP address. Okay. If I need to join this computer to the domain, what we need to do is we need to right click on the computer and go to properties, and here we need to go change the setting to join the domain instead of the work group. So I will click on change settings. Here I will click on change, and here I will, instead of clicking on work group, I will go on the domain. I will type VAC school.local, click OK. Now it's asking me for an account on the domain that allows me to add this computer to the domain, so I'll use the administrator and the password 01. You see that by default it is pointing to the vacschool.local. I didn't need to put vacschool / before the administrator here. I click OK, so it will find the domain. It will tell you welcome to the domain, to the vacschool domain, and then I will have to restart this computer to really be a member of the domain. So it says welcome to the vacschool.local domain. Click OK, and we will restart the computer, and this will be done. While this is restarting, let me open my PC-02 computer, which is my Windows 8.1. And my Windows 8.1 is my PC2 is connected to the LAN 2. So it should get an IP address in the LAN 2 network, which is 192.168.10 dot something. So it's not this scope, it's the LAN 2 scope here. I don't know what's this one. Probably I turned on one of the virtual machines before. Or maybe it is this one. I think this is the one. It just got an IP address here. Let me just check. So let me just double check it is connected to the right host only adapter Ethernet 2. It is. Okay, so I click on yes. Let me go check the computer name here. So if I go to system, my computer name is right, PC-02. If I check my IP address here, I see that it got the address 10.100. So if I refresh my screen here, yeah, 10.100. And I have all the right parameters. If I need to join this computer to the domain, so under the system page again, so on Windows 8.1 or 10, I can right click here, go to system page, and here I need to join the domain. Click on change settings, change domain backschool local. I have to provide the account for the administrator of the domain. It will welcome me to the domain, and this computer will be on the domain. So welcome to the backschool domain. Okay, and we will restart the computer. While we are doing that, let's log into the PC-03. So I log into my PC3. So for Windows 10 is different from Windows 7 and 8 in a sense that it does not ask you for a computer name when you set up Windows. So I will right click on the start menu and click on system. So now I need to change the name here with the right name, which is PC-03. So I can see that the name here is not the name that I want. This is automatically generated name. So I'll click rename this PC, and I will put the new name, which is PC-03. Click on next and restart. Okay, so now if I check my network parameters, I should see that I got already an IP address. Let me check also. The DHCP server on LAN 3 here, address leases. I see that I have two computers. I don't know which one, what is this one here, but it has this IP address, so maybe I have another computer here that took this address. I don't need this one. So my PC-03, this is the address that it got here. Okay, so if I want to check here, it should be 104. Yeah, this is the IP address. So now if I want to join the domain, so let's just go open Windows Explorer. Let's right click on this PC, properties, and on this system page I will click on change settings, and I will change again my domain to backschool.local. I will provide the domain administrator account. and it should welcome me to the domain. So I have the welcome screen here, click OK, and the computer will restart. Okay, so for now I will shut down my virtual machines, the PC 1, 2 and 3. I don't really need them, and I will be working on the project. So here, if I look at my project, okay, so we did all that. We created the DHCP scopes. We promoted the second VAC DC2 as a domain controller. Now we need to do these steps here, okay, starting from here. On VAC DC1 or VAC DC2, we want to go to the Active Directory users and computers. So let me just close that one here. I will open Active Directory users and computers from the Tools menu on the Server Manager dashboard. And here, under the VAC school.local, we need to create several organization units. So we need to create this structure, one called VAC, and below it we have 2 organization units. So I'll right click on VAC school.local and click on new, and I will select organization unit. I will select the name that I want here, which is VAC. I will uncheck that in case I make a mistake and I need to delete it, so I will uncheck it for now. And now below the VAC I need to create 2 organization units, so I will have to select VAC, right click, new organization unit. So the first one, it's computers, and again I will uncheck this protect containers from accidental deletion, and I will go back to the VAC again, right click, click on new organization unit, and this time I will create the users organization unit. Again, I will uncheck the protect containers from accidental deletions. So now I have my 3 organization units here that are required in the lab. Now inside the users organization unit, which is this users, not this one, not this one. This is the built-in users organization. It's not even an organization unit, it's a container. This organization unit here, which is under VAC users, right? We need to create these users here. Okay, so we have 7 users. So let's right click here. When we click this one, you can right click here. We click a new user. So the first one is John Martin. And the login name is John M. So here is John M. And the password is password 01. So when we click on next, we will type the password 01. So 01. I will uncheck user must change password at next logon. Click on next, finish. I have to create all the other ones. So instead of redoing all this procedure, I will just right click on John Martin as an easy step, because otherwise I will have to create new user, and let's say I will go with the next one, which is Mario De Niro. Mario D, next, password 01 twice, and uncheck this one, click on next, finish. Okay, so I have a shorter way to, or a faster way to do that. Okay, so if I already created 1 or 2, I will just right click on it and click, right click and click on copy. Okay, it will just save me 1 or 2 clicks. So I will just, next one is Franco Di Marco. And the username is Franco D. Next. So I will not have to uncheck this one. It's one checkbox. Click on next, finish, and same thing again. I will recopy to do Salu Afami. So we are repeating the same steps again and again and again. It's nothing is complicated. So I finished creating my users. So all my users are created here. Now inside the users OU, which is the same users OU here, I need to create 3 different groups: production, administration, and sales. So I'll right click again here, new group. So the first group is production, so I'll type production. I click on OK and it's created. I right click again, new group, administration, and I click OK. And the third group, right click, new group, sales. So I'm creating the third sales group. So I have 3 groups here, as you see them here: administration, production, and sales. But I need to put the users in the groups because these are empty groups. So in the production group, I need to have John Martin and Eric Pascal. So I will double click on the production group, and under the members here, I will add these 2 users, John and Eric. So I'll click on here, I type John M. I can put semicolon, and I'll type the second one, which is Eric P. I click on check names. It found these 2 users. I click OK. So I have these 2 users that are member of the production. Sometimes I ask you for a screenshot of the members of a specific group. So this is the screenshot that we need. You click on the members of the group, and I need a screenshot of this window here. So now we did the production. If I go to the administration, I will go to members. I have Maria D and Nadia P. So I will add Maria D semicolon Nadia P. Click on check names. So I missed something. Maria D. Okay, so I mistyped something here. Let me go. Maria. Oh, it's Maria Di Niro, not Mario. So I made a mistake here. So this is Maria, not Mario. It's Maria. Okay, so now I will go back to production, members, not production, administration, members. I will add Maria D and Nadia P. Check names again, Nadia P, Nadia Pelletier, Nadia Pelletier, here I put Nadia L, it's Nadia P, not Nadia L. Nadia P. Okay, so I fixed my 2 mistakes here. Administrator, members, so I will add Maria D, Nadia P. I have them here. And the third one is sales, members. I hope I did not make a mistake here. Franco D, Samuel J, and Salwa F. Okay, I have them right, my 3 users. So I did create my OUs, I create my users, I create my groups, I put the right users in the right groups. Here I have to create these following computers, but I already logged in with these computers and I joined them to the domain. So if I go to computers, I will see that I already have them: PC-01, PC-02, PC-03. As soon as I create or I join the domain with one computer, it creates an account for it here. So now I need to put them under the VAC computers OU, under these computers, not here. Okay, so all I have to do, I can just select them, one by one, or the three together, and I will just drag them and put them under the computer's OU here. So it's gonna give me a warning because changing OUs will change the applied group policies, but it's okay for us. That's what we want to do. We will click on yes. So now my computer accounts are created under the VAC computers OU as requested here in the project. Okay, now this is almost the last step. We need to create a folder on VAC DC1, so it's on the same computer here. We need to go on the C drive and we need to create a project folder, and we will share it and set the permissions. So let's create the projects folder here. So we need to set these permissions for the production group, the administration group, and the sales group. So we right click on the projects here, we click on properties, and we need to share that folder. So the first thing, we click on sharing, we click on advanced sharing, we share this folder. Under the permissions here, we remove everyone, and we add our three groups: production, administration, and sales. I can add them one at a time, or I can add the three of them in one shot. Okay, I'm just adding them. I'm not setting any permissions yet in this step here. Once I added them, they will have automatically read permission, each one of them. So I have to go one by one and select what permission I want. So for the production, I need read only. So if I go to production, read only is read. That's good. For the administration, I need full control. So if I click on administration, I will select full control. When I select anything, I should not uncheck anything else. So before I select anything, let me uncheck everything for administration and then select full control. That selects whatever is needed. If I go to the sales, I need modify. So if I go to sales, let me uncheck that. And the modify is equivalent to change. Modify is the name under the security permissions. Under the sharing, it's called change. So change or modify are the same thing. So I need a change permission for the sales. So I select the sales, remove everything, and select change. I do not uncheck the read. I click OK, OK, and now the sharing permission is set. Now I need to share, to go set the security permission. So when I go to the security, I will see that by default I have multiple groups that have already some permissions on this folder, because these are inherited from the drive C, from the drive C itself. Everything is okay except users. I don't want to keep users. I need to remove the users, so I will be removing the permissions from here. But as you see, they are grayed out. I cannot remove that. If I click on remove, it's telling me you cannot remove users because this object is inheriting permissions from its parent. So what can I do? I need to go here. When I go to the security tab, I need to go to advanced, and under the advanced I have to click on disable inheritance, because right now I can see that everything is inherited from this disk C. I want to delete only these two lines, but I cannot remove them because they are inherited, but I want to keep all the rest of them. So I click on disable inheritance. It doesn't matter where I am. I don't have to click anything here. I just click on disable inheritance, and I will click convert inherited permissions into explicit permissions on this object. Not remove, just to convert. So when I do that, it keeps everything, but now they are not inherited. So now I can select the ones that I don't want, which are the users, the both here. I click on remove, it's gone. I select the second one, remove, it's gone. These I keep always. The system, administrators, and creator owner I will keep. So I click OK. Now I can add my permissions as requested by the project. So I will click on edit, add, and I will add my three groups here. So production, semicolon, administration, and sales. Click on check name to validate that I did not make a mistake. it finds them, so I'm good. So now I will select one by one and set the permissions here. So I will select the production to start with. I need read only. So just to make sure, I will uncheck everything and select the read only. The read only in the security permission is not the read. It's the read and execute. Again, the read only is the read and execute, not the read. So just to make sure, I will remove everything and I will always select one of the three options only. I do not select anything else. I uncheck everything and I select one of the three: full control, modify, or read and execute. So for the production is read only, which is read and execute. So I will select that. I will not uncheck anything else. Now I will go to administration. Don't be mixed between administration and administrators. Here is administration that we are talking about. So administrators need full control. So I will select administration. Again, just to make sure, if I'm not sure, I will uncheck everything and select full control. And for the third one, which is sales, I will go select sales here. And again, I will uncheck everything. Okay, and I will select only the modify. And I will not uncheck anything else. Click OK. So now my permissions are set properly. Okay. Now I need to create a login script that would allow the users on their computers, when they log in, that they will have a mapped drive to point to this project folder. So let's open one of the virtual machines here, which are my Windows PC1. Let's turn on PC1. Okay, so what is the mapping and what is the login script? Let's see here. So let's log in with one of the users. Here, John should be under the production. Okay, so let's log in with the John M account. So here I will switch users, because right now I'm logged in as the local administrator. I will click on switch user, other user, and I'm already joined to the domain, so the username that I'm gonna use here, it will automatically authenticate on the domain. So I'll put John M with password 01. I will log in. So John is logged in. So if I open my file explorer here, I go to computer, I see only my C drive and my CD drive. But if I need to access the projects folder which is on the server, I cannot find it. To find it, I will have to go here and type // my server name, which is vac-dc1 /project. When I do that, I'm accessing the project folder. Right now, I don't have anything on the project on the server, so let me just create one text file here on the server. Okay, and I can see that I can see the text file here right away. Let me just put something here, hello, and I will save it on the server. So if I open this text file here, I can see the hello. So I don't want every time to have to go on each computer, type / vac-dc1 /project to access this one. I would like to have kind of a shortcut for that folder under my computer here. And to do that, we need to create a login script. Okay, so the login script, there is one location that we can put the login script on the domain controller. It's under the C drive, under the Windows folder, under the sysvol folder, and under the sysvol again, and vac school here, and under scripts here. So it's a long path, but this is where I need to put my login script. So it's always C, Windows, sysvol, the domain name, because each domain controller has a different domain name, and then scripts. So all I need to do here, I need to create a script file, which is a very basic file. So I will right click, type new, and create a text document for now. Okay, and I will call it login. Okay, but this is a text document. I don't want it to be a text document, so I have to change the extension of this file. Okay, so if I click on the Alt key on my keyboard, it will open this letters here, this menu, so I can click on View, then I can click on Options, change folder and search options. Under the View tab here, I can uncheck hide extensions for known file types. So when I do that, I will see the real extension of this file name. So I will uncheck that. So now I can see that this file name is called login.txt. What I need for this file, I need that this file be something else, not txt. But let me just first type the commands that I need inside it. So if I double click on it, it's an empty text file. So let me write the command. The command to map a network drive is net space use space, and then we have to put a drive letter that we're gonna have on the client computer. Like now we have the C drive, the D drive. So let's use here as requested here in the lab, the drive letter P. So I'm gonna use the P colon. Then I will put space, and then I will put the path that I used on my client computer here. You remember the path that I wrote here on top, which is // computer name / share name. So I need to type this one here, / /dc1 / project. So this is the path for the shared folder on the network. Then I will put space, and then I will put / persistent yes. So this will allow this batch file to appear every time. I don't have to do it, the persistent /yes, because this login script is going to execute every time the user logs in. So all I need to do is net space use space the drive letter colon space, and then I have the path for that shared folder. I will click on file, save. So it is saved right now, but it is a text file. For this to work as a login script, I need to change the extension. So I don't want it to be txt, I want it to be cmd for command. Okay, so when I do that, it will tell me, are you sure you want to do that? Changing the extension might be a problem. So I say yes, I know that I want this to be a cmd file. Now, how am I gonna make that appear on each user whenever they log into the computer automatically? I need to point, so don't forget the file name is login.cmd. It could be any name, but in my case here I put login.cmd. In the Active Directory users and computers, for the user itself, I'm logged in as John Martin. So if I go to the John Martin user, under his profile, I can put here the login script. I just need to put the name that I created. Okay, it knows how to get to the path. So this is login.cmd. It has to be exactly the same name that I created inside my script folder here. It has to be exactly this name. So when I do that, automatically John, when he logs in, he will have access to that. What I can do, I can just copy that, okay, instead of retyping it every time. And for each user, let me go to Mario. I'll go here, or Maria. I put here paste. Franco, profile, login script, paste. Salwa, profile, login script, paste. So for each one of them, very quickly, I'm able to set the mapping for each one of the users. It doesn't matter which computer they are logged in from, they will have this mapping. So now, let me log off John and log back in. I don't need to restart, I just need to log off. And we'll log back in. So if I open my Windows Explorer, I go to computer, I have the project here, the P, which points to the project on the server. So every time I log in, I don't need to go type \\/ anything. I have already the mapping here that points to that. If I open another virtual machine, let's say PC3, which is a Windows 10, and I will log in with any other user. Let's say I will log in with Maria D. Okay, so let's log in here. So other user, I need to log in here with Maria D. It's the first time that Maria logs into any computer. Okay, this is a brand new computer. These users are not created on the client computers. They are only created on the domain controllers. So Maria is able to log in. So let's open Windows Explorer here. If I go to this PC, I see that the project is also available here. Okay, so Maria is in the administration, so she has full control, so she can create a new file or folder. Just create here something, no problem. But John is member of the production, and the production they have read only. You see, John is member of the production group, and the production group has read only access. So if I go back to my Windows 7, where is John connected, if John connects here, he can see whatever was created, he can see the files, he can see the folders, but he cannot create anything. I mean, if he tries to modify this file and he tries to save it, it will tell him where do you want to save it, because he cannot save it here. He has to choose somewhere else. Okay, he cannot create anything here. If he's trying to create any text file, any folder, you will tell him you need permissions to perform this action. Okay, so this is the proof that we did the right thing, that in the production group has read only. John M is member of the production group. He should only be able to read. He cannot do things. So let's try, let's say, somebody from the sales, which they have modify access. So let's say we can use Franco. So let's log off and log back in with Franco. So switch user, we use Franco D with password 01. So Franco should be able to modify the file. So all the users should have the mapping for the P drive to point to the project folder on the server. Okay. So of course it's taking time because it's the first time this user logs into that computer. So let's go to computer. We can see the project here. If we open, let's try to modify this file and save it. It is saved. Okay, so he was able to save the file because he has the modify permissions. So if I minimize my PCs here, last thing that I need to verify is my two servers, my DC1 and DC2. Here I created everything on my DC1, right? I did not create anything on DC2. I just created this as a domain controller. So let me try to log in. So it's the first time I even go to Active Directory users and computers on this domain controller. So let's try to go here. I see that my VAC OU is created, my computers OU is created. I have my three computers here. The users, I have my users and groups. So everything is replicated from DC1 to DC2 because there are two domain controllers for the same domain. So whenever you create something on one domain controller, it takes about it could take up to 15 minutes to replicate to the other server. But of course the two servers has to be online and accessible to each other for that to work. So that concludes this presentation for this project that covered creating virtual machines, configuring the network for virtual machines, creating Active Directory domain services role, promoting the server to domain controller, adding the role of the DHCP, configuring different scope with different scope options, and creating users, groups, OUs, and creating sharing folder, setting the permission for the sharing and for the security, creating a mapped drive to point to a specific shared folder on the network.